Hello everyone. In the previous chapter, we saw the parameters applicable to images, and, in most cases, also to videos. In this chapter, we will review the video-specific settings. Let's open our program, and add an empty thumbnail. For now, its time doesn't matter, and let's leave it at the default of 5 seconds. Let's open the view editor. First, and as a reminder, the parameters we give to an element, of whatever type, are only applicable to the element to which they refer. If you duplicate an element, the parameters of the original will be given to the copy, but nothing prevents you from modifying them for one or the other, without this affecting the other. Anyway, let's see the settings specific to videos. For that, let's add video to our view. To be able to see all possible settings, take a video of at least 15 seconds, its format and size don't matter. Let's see the Properties tab. As for images, and all elements, the first line contains the name of the element in your project. The second, as for images, the original name of the file, and the command to replace it, the small arrow to the right of its name. The third is the use of video as the main object, allowing you to edit all videos with the same index in this view, with a single click, for any selected video. Some commands we have seen for images are not applicable to videos, such as resampling, converting to alpha image, and adjustment for animated images. The following 4 lines are identical and have the same functions as for the images, and you can refer to the previous chapter to see, or review, their functions. We come to the settings specific to videos. First, you have a command to tick, mute the sound. As its name suggests, if you check this option, the audio track of your video, if it has one, will be muted, and will not play during your final edit. This can be interesting if, for example, you have a video shot in a means of transport crowded with people, and you want to integrate it into a montage on soft music. This will cut the hubbub of the video, allowing you to clearly hear background music, and/or any commentary you may add. The option, "Do not include in the exe," is useful only when creating executable projects, and, to minimize the size, we know that by default, a video is always very memory intensive. The following command allows you to choose the type of deinterlacing used in your video. Originally, it is on auto, and unless you know exactly the format of your video, I would advise you to leave it as is. Just for info, if you open its drop-down menu, you will be able to choose between 4 options: Default, Weave, Odd Bob, and Even Bob. The following 2 lines of commands are very useful for cropping your video, and taking the part you want to use. These 2 commands are also available in the window that opens when you click on the following command: Set time and speed parameters. Click on it to open this window. It is made up of 4 settings, which are in order: start time, end time, duration, and speed, in percentage of playback. So first, and also, with the little rising triangle below the preview window, you can set the start time of your video playback. By default, it is 0, which corresponds to the beginning of your video. If you set it to, say, 1 second, your video will start playing from the first second of it, skipping the first second of your video. If you change this value, you will notice that the duration time of the video, the third line, will also be changed automatically, to correspond to the value end minus the value start, and therefore will tell you precisely the viewable duration of your video. The second, end, as well as the small descending triangle under the playback bar, allow you to define the end time of your video. As for the command, start, it will also act on the duration of your video, with the same calculation, end minus start equals duration. Remember that after the duration of your video, if the time of the view is not exceeded, your video will remain frozen on its last frame until the end of the view, and this, including during the transition to the next view. We have just seen how the duration is automatically modified, but if you enter a value lower than that indicated, it is the end time of your video which will be modified to correspond to the desired value, as follows: duration minus start equals end time. Finally, we have the frame rate setting for your video. By default, it is 100%. Attention, this is very important. If you modify this value, all the start, end and duration values will be modified inversely proportional to the value entered, and, also very important, if you define the speed first, you will need to calculate the start and end times in inverse proportion to the playback speed. Wow! Yes, let's see a concrete example. I have a 10-second time video. My view is 10 seconds too, but I want my video to play at 50% speed from its first second. First, enter the desired start time, that is 1 second in the field, start. Then, modify the speed of the video, by entering the value 50, in the field, speed. You will notice that automatically, the start time will be modified in 2 seconds, that the end time will also be modified in its double, that is 20 seconds, and that the duration will also be modified to correspond to these parameters, that is, 20 minus 2 equals 18 seconds. If we want our video to stop right at the end of our view, we'll need to change its end time to view time, 10 seconds, plus start time, 2 seconds, which gives us 12 seconds, and the duration of the video will be 10 seconds. With a bit of practice, you will quickly manage to manipulate these parameters in any order. Let's close this window, but be careful. If you want to apply the parameters that you have defined there, it is imperative to click on Validate. If you click on Cancel, or on the closing cross at the top left, the modified parameters will not be taken into account, and it will be those before modifications that will be kept. The following command, offset, lets you set when your video will start playing in your view. By default it is 0 seconds, so your video will start playing at the start of the view. If you modify this parameter, for example by entering the value 2 seconds, during the first 2 seconds of your view, your video will remain frozen on its first frame, then, its playback will start from the second second, to the end of the view, or the length of the video. The command, overlay, allows you to make a color transparent. Once activated, you have access to the parameter command, which opens a window for setting this command. These settings are made up of 2 parameters. The color you want to make transparent, which you can define using the eyedropper, and its field of action, adjustable from 0 to 100%, to 0, it is only the defined color that will be removed, and at 100%, the total color field. With a few tries, you will quickly find out how to set this option, which can be very useful, for example, for embedding a person filmed in front of a green screen, in another video or image. The modifications made using this window will only take effect if you click on Validate, or they will be ignored if you click on Cancel or the cross to close the window. Finally, we have a command button, which defaults to Single Video. This command will be very useful to you if you use PTE as a video editing table. Yes, PTE is also a very powerful and very easy to use video editor, which allows you to stream one or more videos over multiple views, without having to calculate the start and end times for each view, to embed other videos and their order tracks. How to do? Click on this command, and a drop-down menu opens, containing for the moment two options: Single Video, and Master Video Track. In Style, Single Video, your video will only be played on the current view, and the time of the possible transition of the next view, undergoing this transition, in simpler way, like all elements of a view. Now let's put it in Master Video Track. Apparently, nothing has changed for this view. Yes, indeed, nothing has changed. But now, close your view editing window, and add a second thumbnail to your timeline. Click on Configure the view for this new thumbnail, and modify the transition by, for example, sliding with blur, on a duration of 1 second. Apply these changes. Now, if we play our animations, for the moment nothing has changed. Our video scrolls during the first view, the first 5 seconds, then undergoes the transition and does not appear again for the 4 seconds remaining of the second sight. Double-click the first view to reopen the view editor, then right-click your video in the list of items, and click Copy. Right next to the close command, you have two small triangles, a left and a right, which allow you to quickly navigate between views. Click on the one to the right to switch to the view next. Now, in its list of items which is empty, right-click, and click Paste. Your video is now added to the second view, with its settings defined in the first. On the other hand, in the single video command, you have the option Associate with, followed by the name of the video. And, if you open this menu with a click, you have this new option, plus the two basic ones, Single Video and Master Video Track. As long as it is bound to itself, this will instruct the program to continue playing, following the first view, while experiencing the effect of the transition. To find out, close the editor, and play your video. Your video will play nicely over the time of the two views, a total of 10 seconds, and from the 5th to the 6th second it will undergo the transition. If, on the other hand, you set the type of transition to fade, its effect will be invisible on the video, but will affect the other elements of your view. You can repeat this operation on several views, and your video will play on all the views including it, and in the transition of the following views. Also, if, for example, you insert your video on the first, second and fourth view, and not in the third, as in this example, your video will be visible in the 3 selected views, and invisible in the third, but its order track will be played on all views, including the third, even if it is not visible there. We will see in an advanced chapter how we can mix several videos better in Master Video Track, and how they will be visible and used according to their mode of links between them. In the next chapter, we will see the common parameters for all the elements, but always definable independently for each of them. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon. Katerina and Patrick.